And then, of course, to round out our cast, we have, I would say, the best part of this whole movie is the tag team of Dean Cameron playing Chainsaw and his best buddy Dave, played by Gary Riley. They quite literally are the movie. If there's a heart and soul, it's Dean Cameron and Gary Riley. I love their chemistry in this. A little bit unrealistic. I say that because I was the horror person in high school. A little bit unrealistic, but God, I appreciate his candor, and I appreciate his energy. Us horror people don't have that level of energy, by the way. We just don't. We don't. Contrary to popular belief, most people who are into horror movies are also fucking smart as all hell.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Ryan, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coynton, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Oh man, Bri, I failed civics. I gotta go to summer school.
Not summer school. How are you gonna, hang out with babes on the beach?
I gotta get some
if you got
gays,
summer school, man.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Yeah, Ronald Reagan. I don't miss them. We're on episode 216. And first of all, welcome, folks. Just gotta say that. Welcome. We don't ever always time get to say just so, hey, welcome to the show, folks. But yeah, we're on episode 216, and we're gonna stay with the year 1987 this week, folks. Because last week we talked about Stepfather, and that was released in 1987. We figured, why not stick around a little bit longer?
We love the 80s, don't we?
Yeah, we do love the 80s. And it's summertime. If you haven't looked outside, first of all, go outside. It's good. Wear sunscreen. Don't cook yourself, and avoid COVID, of course. But with it being summertime, we figured, why not throw back to, maybe I'd say, one of the weirdest yet oddly entertaining summer movies from the 1980s. What'd you call it? This is a very bizarro movie, because on paper it shouldn't work, and it does though.
Yeah, and I watched this again for a refresher last night, and nothing in this movie would fly today.
No,
nothing.
Well, yeah. And well, first of all, what movie are we talking about? We're talking about the 1987 classic Summer School. Okay, folks. Starring everyone's favorite NCIS person. I don't watch NCIS, so I don't know what his role is. I'm assuming it is some sort of hard-nosed FBI detective or some shit like that.
He's kind of like the Spotswood of it.
Is he's a Spotswood?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. That's going to play in next week's episode, by the way. Spoiler. Mark Harmon, who apparently up to this point had never done comedic acting. Like, he had never done anything in a comedic sense. I think before this, he played Ted Bundy in a TV movie. Yeah. I did research,
it's almost
folks.
Funny.
It's almost funny. Yeah, but it's really a bizarre film. First of all, this movie combines a couple things. One, it is an absolute gross-out teen comedy. Okay, in the vein of movies like Porky's and Meatballs and things like that. And on top of that, it's written by one of the people behind Family Matters. Not Family Matters. It is what is it?
Family Ties?
Full House. Jeff Franklin. Yeah, Jeff Franklin.
Okay.
Jeff Franklin, one of the people behind Full House. He wrote this, And on top of that, it's directed by, quite honestly, I would say one of the grandfathers of comedy, Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Yeah. It's so like on paper, you're like, how does this movie freaking exist? When you've got Carl Reiner of all people, someone who worked with Mel Brooks and literally is comedy. Like if you were to go and say, who's comedy? You put a Mount Rushmore of comedy. Carl Reiner would be up there. Like
some billionaire executive, go get me comedy.
Yeah.
They just drag
go get
Carl
me comedy
Reiner
and Carl Reiner
office.
shows up. So this is a very odd movie. I remember watching this movie when I was a kid. Like this movie would play all the time on HBO. Of course, I mentioned HBO. And then it would also play on like TBS on Sunday afternoons. Like when they had nothing to show, they're like, well,
got to fill that lineup. Yeah.
We got to fill this with either Vacation or Summer School or some other movie that's very cheap for us to kind of just play. So I have a lot of fond memories of this movie. But you're absolutely right, John. There is no fucking way this would be made out nowadays.
Well, the thing is, I it's been so many years since I've seen this movie. And has that ever been one of those movies that you've seen, you've seen it, but you don't really remember much about it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remembered very little except like the gore scene.
That's what everyone points to.
Yeah. But so I'm just kind of almost watching it anew. And I thought,
wow.
this is going to be a boner comedy. You know what I mean?
It's not, though.
Yeah, and it's not at all. It's actually very charming.
It is extremely charming.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I was watching a couple reviews about it, kind of get myself prepared for this because it's one thing to watch a movie you've seen a bunch of times, but it's nice to see other people's perspectives on it. And you're absolutely right. This movie came out at a time when most of the teen comedies that were coming out were absolutely just boner comedies. I like to think that is partially because of Carl Reiner. I don't think Carl Reiner would do a boner comedy. I don't think that's the type of person that he is. And I don't think you also get Jeff Franklin, the person who eventually was involved with Full House, to do a boner comedy. But it actually. It's really charming. It actually has an arc, which is interesting for teen comedy because most of these movies don't. They're just literally show us your tits and that's it. But this movie,
should we watch
don't get me wrong.
Boobs?
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. There are moments of that in this, but it's not as ridiculous as that. And don't get me wrong. Like there are. The tropes of a teen comedy in this when it comes to that sort of thing. There's also some weird shit in this movie. You probably know which one I'm talking about. John, do you know the weird shit? I'm not talking about that gore scene. That one's just pure amazing. But the whole relationship between Shoop and
I didn't know you were going that big. Yeah. I was thinking of like one like.
I mean that's some weird shit.
Oh, I was waiting for them to fuck. Because it's the 80s. You could bang a 16-year-old in the 80s. Whatever.
Yeah, I want to get to that.
I'm looking at you, Rob Lowe.
You calling Rob Lowe out?
Yeah. Well, no, he banged two 16-year-olds on camera, and nothing ever happened to him. So
he's Rob Lowe.
Yeah, he's a pedophile.
Yeah, he's a pedophile. Yeah, so... Where do we start with this movie? Where do you want to start with this? We talk a little bit about kind of like where we came from it, but how do we get? Well, let's start with the kind of plot here. Okay, it's not that crazy of a plot. Basically, Summer School is the story of Mark Harmon, who plays Freddie Shoop, and Freddie Shoop is just a humble PE teacher who just wants to go to Hawaii and bang, we're assuming someone who's 21, much younger than him, for the summer. That's literally all the man wants to do with his dog.
Yeah, he's 30.
He's 30.
I know
she's
because I
21.
did the math when he was
You did
talking
the math?
about ages. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you did the math. I don't do math. But but yeah, so he has some proclivity for younger women because his girlfriend, Kim, is 21 and she just wants to go to Hawaii with him. And on the last day of school, which honestly, I got to say this. Their attention to detail about the last day of school in this movie is probably the most accurate. Yeah. I'm not talking about the countdown thing. I'm talking about everything else that's happening there.
I wouldn't call it a montage, but it's pretty accurate.
It's a montage, but it's accurate to kind of what in high school you're doing during the last day of school. So like everyone's clearing out their lockers, they're throwing shit away. You have those giant bins in the hallway. You are giving your textbooks back. So like that little montage scene of them doing that actually is realistic. And I thought to myself, because I saw this movie when I was a kid. I don't think I watched this when I was in high school. But I just remember, after watching it last night, I was like, that part actually is pretty accurate. Except for the whole like over the top counting down scene. No one does that. You're literally just like counting down in your soul.
Well, they had an actual timer.
They had an actual timer. No one.
We don't really have that in most classrooms. Yeah.
But funny thing, when I was growing up, I did think, I'm like, is this what high school is like? You've got like crazy people who are into horror movies, and no one's like hating each other. Like, is this what high school's like? It's not. It wasn't. It wasn't.
I mean, there are crazy people into horror movies. That was me.
Yeah, I know that, but like, didn't you like watch this movie and go like, is this kind of what high school's like? Is it like this? You hope.
Yeah.
It's not though. It's not. It was hell. But that's just me. I make no bones that I've wiped like all of high school away from my memory. Like being like, I don't need to know that. I don't need to go back to that. That's for the therapist. But anyway, so this whole countdown happens. Everyone's rushing to get out the door. While this is going on, our favorite stereotypical students get notes from some overweight security guard, which I'm like, why is the security guard handing out notes? Like, is he like the Darth Vader of the school?
That was a little weird. I expected him to have like a tuba sound effect, like when he went around.
I have a glandular problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he first of all, his costume looks like a dollar store security guard outfit. Like I'm pretty sure that batch he has is plastic.
Yeah, it's right out of Animaniacs.
It is really right out of Animaniacs. So he's handing off these little like pink slips, and it basically says, "Hey, your summer's fucked. You're in summer school because you're stupid," or some reason.
You think they would know? Like, oh, I failed like these 2 or 3 classes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, I guess the whole idea is just that they're so far beyond help that they don't even know that they're failing. Yeah. So there's that. But yeah, you would think that teenagers would know, or it's just a matter of Jeff Franklin needed to write something to give us the plot.
Yeah.
So whatever, it's fine. I'll buy it. While this is going on, Carl Reiner himself, which I forgot this part was in this movie, by the way. I forgot that Carl Reiner plays a teacher in this, who's just scratching away scratchers in the middle of class, just waiting to get the jackpot. And sure enough, he does. And this actually is the thing that kicks off the whole movie, because Carl Reiner gets $50,000 on a scratcher, says "fuck you" to the vice principal, and now it forces them to find someone else to do summer school. And the vice principal, or at least I think he's the vice principal. I don't think he's the the actual principal. Yeah,
Let's
he's
call
vice
him the
principal.
dean. He's the dean.
No,
That
he's
lousy dean.
no, he's not the dean because they're not in college. Can't say that. No, but he's the vice principal. His name is Vice Principal Gills, and he is the quintessential asshole of the movie. Every 80s movie has to have an asshole, and Vice Principal Gills is the asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just is a snake-ass piece of shit.
In my high school, like we had co-principals, like, which is nonsense. Like there was the principal, the vice principal.
Co-principals.
Yeah. I think they just didn't want
Like
somebody to not have the right title.
Like some sort of like Roman triumvirate, that sort of thing. Like you had co-consul sharing power.
Yeah, but the true principal was a complete dick, and usually it's the vice principal and things, but like our vice principal was a snake. He was like, "Hey, I'm your friend. I'll take care of you. I'll listen to you. Now tell me all the kids that do drugs and do bad things."
Yeah, we had so we had ultimately who we had we had our principal never actually like was visible, if that's to say. Like he was kind of like, you don't really talk to him. He was just there but not really there.
Voldemort.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, instead the person who was the asshole was the dean of students. Like my school district actually had a dean of students. It wasn't
that lousy dean.
Yeah, and it was like, oh yeah, everyone fucking hates that guy, to the point where I think it was the last day of school one year. They did this thing where like some sort of school spirit shit, where they had like a big assembly thing in it was almost like games, and one of the games I remember was taping the dean of students to the wall. Like this actually was a thing. I don't know what the whole premise of it was, but it was something like, okay, yeah, you could have fun, tape him to the wall. Okay. Like, but yeah, he was just a fucking asshole. He got my brother in trouble for something he didn't even do. Yeah. So this gets off on a little bit of a tangent, but back in the day, we had these things called TI-80 calculators. Okay. Remember those? Honking suckers.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have cell phones that could do it for us.
If I needed that calculator, I didn't know the answer.
Well, yeah. It was a graphing calculator, so quite literally, it would do stuff. But my brother's friends, I think it wasn't the TI-80, it was something else. So getting off on a complete tangent here, folks. But
that's all right. It's a podcast.
It's a podcast. That's honestly all tangents. So basically, my brother got in trouble because someone used his login to upload a game onto the network, the school network. Oh. So he didn't do it at all. They found out who did do it, and my brother still got in trouble because of this asshole dean of students.
That's horseshit. Yeah.
To this day, my brother actually has the detention slip. He has it on his fridge still as a reminder. Like I asked him the other day, because it was funny we bring this up because my daughter had her 3rd birthday party, and I was with my
happy
brother.
Birthday, Coco.
Yeah, and I was talking to him when I mentioned about the dean of students thing. He's like, yeah, I still have that slip because he's a fucking asshole. I'm not going to name his name because he's a private citizen, but if you know who he is, you'll agree he's a fucking asshole. Anyway, getting back to this, okay. Vice Principal Gills is an asshole, and he's trying to find someone to take over summer school. And sure enough, Mark Harmon has, quite honestly, the most luggage I've seen any man.
Oh my God! Yeah,
who's quite honestly just going to spend most of the time having sex with his 21-year-old girlfriend.
I mean, I know she's 21 and hot, so like women have more luggage than men, but my God, there's like 47 pieces of luggage. Are they going?
I'm glad you saw that too, because I'm watching. I'm just like, why does he have all this luggage as he's going to school, as he's leaving? Like, why would he? That means he'd have to bring all of the luggage there. have it kind of there and then go to the airport. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, the amount of money to check those bags, he's just going to go bankrupt checking those bags.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it was a thing where back in the 80s, you didn't have to spend an exorbitant amount of money to check your bags. That's
back in the 80s, yeah. You could just show up on a plane with a gun. You know, it's like, I don't want to check my gun or my knife. Like, oh, come on aboard. We'll give you dinner. Remember that? Yeah.
Dinner on the airplane. And it was actually like a real dinner, not just peanuts.
It's like, hey, can I bring my bomb on the plane? It's like, sure, it's pre-Columbine. It's weird that you mentioned some town in Colorado, but all right. Yeah.
I think you meant to say 9/11. I think you meant to say 9/11. But yeah, it's
Columbine happened first. You know, we got to get that first. Yeah.
You got to get that first. It's true. But yeah, he's got all these fucking bags that his 21-year-old girlfriend Kim brought up, and sure enough, this will prevent him from getting out of the parking lot quick enough for Vice Principal Asshole to show up and, I guess, threaten him.
But tenure in high school, is that a thing?
I was going to say the same thing. I'm pretty sure that there's no such thing as tenure in a high school.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're a high school teacher, reach out to us and let us know if we're wrong. But yeah, that's totally a university thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure no one in their right mind is like, yes, I want tenure at the high school. Okay, yeah. I mean, we might be entirely wrong. But like, to me, tenure requires that you publish something. Like that's typically how it works in a college setting. Is tenure is you're doing the normal work and then also doing other shit, which nowadays it's kind of impossible to do that because the main shit of teaching takes up so much time. But yeah, so he gets threatened with, well, if you do this, I'll, Vice Principal Asshole will write your letter for tenure. Which I'm like, all right. Whatever. He's a PE teacher. I mean, he even said himself, he's like, I only do this so that I can get my summers off.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure you don't tell your boss that.
Yeah. The logic of like the physical education teacher teaching English, you might as well have the, I don't know, robotic. Well, no, I'm trying to think of something teaching math who doesn't. Yeah.
The Terminator teaching math.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, we had study hall one day, and I know that my PE teacher showed up as a study hall teacher, and I'm like, this is kind of weird. And he was still in like his PE teacher uniform, like the swishy pants and t-shirt, that whole thing. So I'm like, oh, coming right off of PE class, huh? But it's weird. It absolutely is weird to say, oh yeah, the PE teachers. Not to say that PE teachers out there can't do that. It's just that's not what you went to school for.
Yeah, I'm not mocking the.
We're not. Well, we are teachers. A little bit. We are a little bit mocking. We are.
I'm just saying that, like, there are reasons that you have an expertise in something, but exactly. my physical education teachers, my gym teachers were the two main ones were the football coaches.
Oh God.
Yeah, they were douchebags. And the thing is that they didn't care. So it was like, I just ruled that gym class because I just went around ruining every game for my amusement. And they were like, in 10th grade, Mr. We'll
don't name the names. Yeah. Don't name the names.
He was like, John, you have thick legs. And I'm like, oh, he's going to rape me. But I was like, okay, and he's like, yeah, you got thick legs. You could be an asset on defense for the football team. And I was like,
why are you lining up my legs?
I was like, I realized what was going on here, and I was like, sure can, because like the football season was over. I.e., I know that right now he's going to let me get away with whatever I want in gym because he thinks I'm going to try out for the football team next year. And I would it'd be like kickball, and the guy would roll the ball, and I would just run on and just grab the ball and throw it in the pitcher's nuts.
You were that asshole?
Yeah. And then Mr. What's his name would be like, that a boy, because he thought I was going to be on the football team next year. And then when I didn't try out for football, he hated me.
Of course. See, my gym teacher, the one I had, I'd say in probably like junior high, this guy, no joke, could not get my name. He could not get my last name right.
Your name's not that hard.
It's not hard.
Letters, but Coddington.
It's fucking English, man. Like quite literally, the name is English. It's from England. So yeah, but this guy literally the entire semester that I had. Well, actually, no, it's the whole year because it wasn't semesters then. The whole year I had gym. The guy never got my name right. He called me Coddigan, Cullington, Cotlington, like over and over and over again. And I'd always have to correct him, be like, it's Coddington. And I wanted to say, you fucking moron. But this was a constant thing. And I don't think he ever did this with my brother, because that's the thing is, when you have siblings, generally you get, and I'm the oldest, so quite literally, I would meet these teachers first, and then like 2 years later, my brother would meet them, and then later from that, like 5-6 years later, my youngest brother would meet the same ones. So over time, they all knew. By the time they got to my brother Tyler, it was, oh yeah, it's Coddington. But like, man, every fucking time I had gym class, that asshole was like, Colligan, you here? I'm like, yeah, it's Coddington, you fucking moron.
Copenhagen, get in there.
Yeah. It was like that movie. The fucking movie, what it is, it one with the kid who's got the arm that
Rookie of the Year,
yeah,
who I'm currently working on for my YouTube channel. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. By the way, just I know we've gone on a lot of tangents here, but I've reached out to Thomas. Yeah, I've reached out to Thomas Ian Nichols, who was Rookie of the Year, and I know he's seen all my messages and he's ignored every one of them. So, Tom.
Do you think calling him out on the show publicly is going to be going to help you? I don't help you standing here.
I don't think it's going to happen at this point. I've reached out to him about 9-10 times, and I see that he's seen every message, and he's ignored me this entire time.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Are you saying you will not be ignored, John?
I will not be ignored, Tom.
Or we get back to summer school. So that's what's the movie we're talking about. Oh yeah, summer school. So. You know, Shoop gets roped into this. His 21-year-old girlfriend says, well, I'm just going to go to Hawaii, and I'll take your ticket. So it's like, okay. I mean, I could have seen that one coming a mile away. But that's what you get when you are, dating someone super young. Not to say there's anything wrong against that, just saying she wants to go to Hawaii. So Shoop gets roped into doing summer school, and he finds out that his summer school class is filled with nothing but a bunch of delinquents and people. You notice how in this movie, and I noticed this after the fact, that the class size shrinks? Did you notice that?
Yeah. Like, I wonder how. I was like, a few of these people were extras, and then they like started to run out of them, and they're like, "Well, no one's going to notice."
Well, I noticed. On the first day he walks in, he's got like at least I'd say 20 people there.
Yeah,
and then by the end of it, it's just like 8.
Well, the first day they had like 10 extras, and they were like, "So can you come back tomorrow?" And they're like, "Oh no, well, who cares? We only got a budget of $2 million, so we'll make it work."
Yeah. And this is where we meet our cast of characters,
a ragtag group of heroes.
Ragtag crew of crazies. Let's go through each one of these one by one, okay? Because these are some funny people here. So first off, I'd say the person with the least amount of screen time is the one actor. I don't even know his name. Let's see if I pull it up on the old Wikipedias. The bathroom guy.
Yeah.
Jerome Watkins.
Ginormous man, yeah.
Ginormous man. Jerome Watkins, played by Dwayne Davis, who shows up, says, I gotta go to the bathroom, and then we don't see him again until the end of the movie.
That's some dump.
What was that?
That's some dump. I've been there.
Oh, man. When you have a 6-week dump? Yeah.
When you got a life-changing poop? Yeah,
And the best part was he had the bathroom pass. And gives it to Shoop at the end when they go and take their test. But yeah, he's a very large man who's very intimidating, and it's just like Shoop's like, okay, go ahead. Then we get who else here? We get Courtney Thorne-Smith as Pam.
90210 style, baby.
Oh, well, she's Melrose Place.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. I knew it was Fox. Like
it was Fox. It was one of those, dumbass shows from the 90s. But yeah, this is Courtney Thorne-Smith before she became famous for Melrose Place, and I think she also did Ally McBeal as well. And she plays Pam, also known as Jailbait.
Yeah.
And it's funny because if you look at the cover for this DVD, like you would think that Shoop totally gets a piece, because the cover of the DVD for it, if you look at this, it's funny because they kind of went for the weird jailbaity type of cover for like the new version of this. I don't know if you saw this online.
Yeah.
But it minimizes Kirsty Alley in like the back corner. It uses some weird picture of her.
She
like
gets
this.
as much as the dog.
She gets as much as the dog. and it's just like Mark Harmon right side by side with Courtney Thorne-Smith. And you're just like, what's going on here? And Kirsty Alley just has this face of like, I hate everything in this. It's a really terrible Photoshop job. And of course the cover of it says Bikini Crossing because it's a sex comedy.
Wow.
Which it isn't. It isn't at all.
But they know how to,
But yeah, I always find that funny. Like it's always funny to watch old movies redone DVD art because oftentimes they don't get it right. But yeah, so she plays Pam, and she's just a surfer girl. She just wants to surf.
Who has attention deficit disorder?
Probably. Like, that's what I would guess. So yeah, and there's a lot more to talk about with her. But I just want to do some intros with this. And then we get, who else we got here?
We got Francis.
Oh, I was going to save him for last.
All right.
We got Larry, played by Ken Olant, who is literally a narcoleptic. Or at least we think he's just a narcoleptic because he's asleep through most of the movie.
They say he works. He kind of like is part of the nightlife.
He's part of the nightlife. We find out kind of what that nightlife is later on, but yeah, he's just kind of passed out. Then we have, what else we got here? Oh, this is a cool one. I didn't know this. We have Richard Horvitz as Alan Ikin. Now, do you know who Richard Horvitz is?
No.
That's the voice of Invader Zim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and a bunch of other characters. Like, I didn't realize this. I was like, who is this guy? And then you look him up on IMDb. This guy has done Billy and Mandy. He's Daggett from the Angry Beavers.
Oh, so he's done a ton of voice.
He's done a shit ton of voice acting.
Yeah.
But one of his roles he did, like actual like in-person roles, was of the quintessential nerd, and I would argue negotiating hand of the gang of morons, Alan Ikin, who is, I guess, in a family full of straight A students, and he's the only fuck up who doesn't understand what learning is. There's literally a scene where he's reading Horton Hears a Who, and he actually has like a horrified look on his face. I find that really funny. I don't know why, but I just do. Moving along, we also have Shawnee Smith in a non-Saw role, pre-Saw, playing Rhonda, whose only issue is just that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
That's it.
mean, that's kind of an issue. Yeah.
That's an issue, but they're just like, oh, you went from having straight C's to F's. What happened? And she's like, well, I got pregnant. Yeah. That happens. So I'm like, that's kind of mean to push her down to summer school, despite all that. But okay, 80s movie. We have Kevin, the football player, who honestly I'd say is the least interesting of all of the characters here. Wouldn't you say?
We gotta have filler. Yeah,
you gotta have filler characters, and that's honestly what he is. He's a filler character. And his whole big thing is he got kicked off the football team because he's stupid.
Which would never happen.
No, it doesn't. That never happens.
They would find somebody to take the test for you.
They would not only find someone to take the test, and then they would make the test dumbed down to accommodate the football player, because one thing every school has to make sure is working properly is that their dumbass football players pass so that they can get funding and also win trophies and stay on the team. I saw it all the time. I saw it all the time in high school. I'm sure you did too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So moving along, we have Kelly Jo Minter, who plays Denise. You might say, who is that person? She looks familiar. Well, she was also in Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child.
The fifth. Yeah, by the way, I reached out to her, so hopefully she'll be coming on the show. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. That's cool. Yeah. Funny enough, the high school that they're in is actually the high school from, what fucking movie was it? I think it was from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. It's the same high school from there. And there's another movie. Oh, Karate Kid. It's the same high school from a Karate Kid.
Brian, are you saying these location scouts aren't that original?
Yeah, I am. And then, of course, rounding out our cast of characters. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention this. The foreign exchange student who's like super sexy, of course, because it's a 1980s movie.
A lot of vagina.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, Fabian Dello plays Anna Maria, who's, yes, a lot of vagina from Austin Powers.
Oh, she's a good-looking lady. God bless her.
God bless her. She also, I remember this, she was in RoboCop 2 as sunscreen girl, where she like literally took that blue sunscreen and like dumped it all over her.
May cause skin cancer.
May cause skin cancer. Yeah. And then, of course, to round out our cast, we have, I would say, the best part of this whole movie, and this is the truth, it's the best part of the whole fucking movie, is the tag team of Dean Cameron playing Chainsaw and his best buddy Dave, played by Gary Riley. They quite literally are the movie. If there's a heart and soul, it's Dean Cameron and Gary Riley. I love their chemistry in this.
Yeah.
Like the character that Cameron plays, Chainsaw, a little bit unrealistic. I say that because I was the horror person in high school. A little bit unrealistic, but God, I appreciate his candor and I appreciate his energy. Us horror people don't have that level of energy, by the way. We just don't. We don't. Contrary to popular belief, most people who are into horror movies are also fucking smart as all hell. Like, that's the thing. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. People I've met who are like diehard horror fans are some of the most intelligent people you ever meet. So I get that. But either way, they are fucking hilarious. This is Dean Cameron. And by the way, all these people look like they're in their 20s, so they're not at all teenage looking. Dean Cameron especially looks like he's as old as Mark Harmon in this.
If you go on IMDb and look at this movie, the Chainsaw is his IMDb photo. He's bald and has a beard. Yeah, he is beyond middle age.
Yeah. And Dean Cameron also was in a bunch of movies in the 80s, especially Ski School. in Ski School too. You remember Ski School?
I never saw them, but at the video rental store, I saw them, and I was like, butts! Because the video cover always had buns.
Yeah. That's what he was kind of known for, were the 1980s kind of boner comedies like Ski School. And I think he was also, he played a guest spot on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when the gang actually goes to the slopes, because he's got that whole like ski school mentality and he still got it. So he's like trying to sexually assault people and he finds out that it's not cool anymore. They're all reminiscing about the 80s and he's like, man, it used to be you can just get blackout drunk. Yeah. Oh man, he was hilarious in that. But yeah, that's our cast of characters. Chainsaw is apparently obsessed with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong. There are much better movies to be obsessed over, though.
It makes sense to, like, most people in the audience would know what that movie was,
Yeah, but I'm just like, you're 1987, man. I mean, you've got Freddy Krueger, you have Jason, Chainsaw. Okay. Whatever.
By the way, Brian, this would be like us being obsessed by the timeline with No Country for Old Men.
It's true.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right there. You're right. So, with our cast of characters already selected, Shoop honestly doesn't know what the fuck to do teach-wise. He doesn't. And so he does what any gym teacher might do in Southern California, at a high school called Oceanfront High, by the way, which I find hilarious.
Yeah.
And he takes them on field trips. And just takes them to like water parks and Barnyard Zoo and like Mega Mountain.
Go to the beach one day. Yeah.
They go to the beach one day. All the shit that really a high school teacher would be fired for on the spot, by the way. Not a wait until I tell somebody you're fired. Like that would be it. So yeah, he kind of does this whole thing where he takes them on all these field trips. We get our first gross out scene, and there's two of them in this, where Chainsaw and Dave come out of the barnyard farm with bunnies eating their face.
Yeah, they're not just film fans. They seem like they're aspiring like makeup artists.
I mean, with the level of craft, I'd say yeah.
Like they're obsessed with Rick Baker. That was
Yeah. Which good job. You could have gone with anybody. You went with Rick Baker.
Good call. Yeah.
Good call. That's honestly a good call. But yeah, he apparently they apparently do special effects makeup in their spare time because of the fact that they have these prosthetics all over them that are foam. That are fucking foam latex. Do you know how hard it is to work with foam latex? Yeah. You have to bake it and run it. It's a pain in the ass. So yeah, they're doing that. And surprised enough, they're doing all this to kind of like impress the Italian chick, Anna Maria. A lot of vagina. Is that what we're just going to refer to her as? A lot of vagina?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's her signature role.
A lot of vagina. So yeah, they try to impress a lot of vagina. And surprisingly enough, she's totally into them. Which I'm just like, that would never happen.
It's an 80s like movie for
that
guys.
Would never,
of course she is,
never happen.
The foreign girl is stupid and is charmed by American men, no matter how dumb they are.
But I'm like, no way, would not happen at all. And they go to the beach, and she's of course like about to take her top off, and someone's like, "No, don't do that," and he's like, "Oh no," Chainsaw and Dave are like, "No."
Yeah, I was a little upset by that scene too. I was like, "Oh, this movie's great," and I'm like, "No."
But here's the thing: this is not that kind of movie. It's not. It really isn't. So I completely bought into it. Eventually, though, Shoop's kind of found out, and we didn't mention this, but Kirsty Alley, pre-Crazy Trump, is in this. This is like Kirsty Alley. Yeah, this is like Kirsty Alley at her absolute prime. This is like right
this
after
pre-Cheers. This is pre-Cheers.
Is this pre-Cheers?
Yeah. Oh, Shelley Long's still on the show at this point.
Okay. Yeah. So this is pre-Cheers and Look Who's Talking, because Look Who's Talking was I think 89 or 88.
Oh yeah, that put her on the map.
Yeah. So she's looking good, and she's not crazy pants yet. No, she's not. And so, you know, she plays kind of the love interest, unfortunately, that gets overshadowed in the DVD cover. And she's like a real teacher, like a real one. So Shoop gets in trouble and decides that he's going to make a kind of a gamble with Principal Asshole, or Vice Principal Asshole, excuse me, that if he can get his kids to all pass some exam, which, okay, I didn't think there was an exam at the end of every school year. I mean, aside from just normal exams, there was never like one overarching one, but there is one in this movie. That he'll forget all about his bullshit. Okay, so that's kind of the conditions of the bet. So because of that, Mark Harmon's forced to actually like do things in the class, like actually teach shit, and Kirsty Alley kind of coaches him on that. All right.
Yeah, I guess she no longer has her class.
She no longer has her class.
All of her time with him. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I do teach, and I can tell you right now, if someone said, "Hey, can you help me out? I don't know how to teach. Can you give me teaching lessons?" I'd say no. I got way too much on my plate. So I guess summer school, you only had the one class. Maybe you can spare some time. But either way, I would just say,
well, Brian, you're married. You know, maybe if like somebody gave you like a little rocket in your pocket, maybe you would like do it. You know,
I guess so. I guess so. But anyway, yeah, the whole relationship kind of happens. I thought that was honestly one of the weaker parts of this movie was the whole Kirsty Alley thing. I thought it wasn't really much chemistry there. At least I didn't think so.
Well, if Courtney Thorne-Smith is going to move in with him, they need to like make sure that nobody thinks, oh, he's going to fuck that kid. You know?
Well, he seriously was going to fuck that kid.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
So anyway, Harmon starts teaching the kids, and they all basically say that they'll actually learn and do shit if he grants them wishes. So the thing I didn't mention was every one of these kids has something that they kind of has held them back from being successful students. So like Denise Green doesn't know how to pass the driving test. Okay. So, you know, Shoop's going to help her with driving. Kevin needs help with football practice. So there's that. Ikin wants to go to a party at you know, Shoop's house. Chainsaw and Dave want the party, and also like a bunch of other things. So they all have something that they want. Courtney Thorne-Smith, of course, shyly says, "Oh, I'll tell Shoop later," which I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, enjoy me in my tight, like, surfing outfit that shows off the curves of my body. Yeah. I'll tell you later what I want.
Yeah. It's not that kind of movie. That's Cinemax. That's not this movie.
I thought they were going to bank. I thought when she said, like, I thought she was going to be like, I'm 18. You know, like how porno movies always do that.
That's
like,
always that they
But
do.
she's like, I'm 16. I'm like, uh-oh, red flag, red alert.
Yeah. But anyway, Shoop agrees that he's going to grant their wishes, which I'm like, dude, you're the adult. You don't have to grant shit. But okay.
Well, he wants them to pass, right? His job's on the line.
Yeah, I guess so. So they all start learning, and Shoop grants each one of their wishes. While this is going on, by the way, there's this budding relationship between him and Robin, although there's not really there. Shoop gets arrested in what I would say is the most outrageous outfit ever. Like, I don't think any man would walk out of their house looking like that. So set the story up here. Chainsaw and Dave are alcoholics on top of being horror fans, because why not, I guess.
Yeah, they're like 17. I'm worried about them.
They're like, they're really like downhill. If
they're going to be in AA by 22, you know?
And they're drinking in broad daylight, and they look like homeless people. on on the boardwalk. But yeah, so cops let's stop them from drinking alcohol, and Shoop kind of rolls up, and they're like, "Oh well, it's his, it's our teacher, Mr. Shoop. We were holding," and Mr. Shoop buys into it, says, "Oh yeah, they were holding it for me, blah blah blah," and he's in, no joke, swim trunks. He's got headphones with antenna on them because it's the 80s. He's got his red sunglasses because, of course, it's also the 80s. And he's getting roller skates. Yeah.
Sexy.
Oh, yeah. He's not ripped at all. Like, if you're thinking, oh, yeah, he's got, no, it's dad
in fairness
bod.
to Mr. NCIS, he's not, like, loose.
No, he's
ripped.
not loose,
Yeah.
but he's also not ripped.
Yeah.
I would call this dad bod.
Yeah,
I would really call that dad bod. But yeah, so he gets arrested because they say that he's contributing to the delinquency of minors. He gets thrown in jail, and of course it's like rolling into jail with all these hardened criminals in his red trunks and roller skates. It's not going to be good for Shoop. He gets bailed out by Kirsty Alley because, of course. And then we get this party scene. And at this party scene, that's where we get the whole inclination that Courtney Thorne-Smith might want a little something from Shoop.
Yeah, nothing like a high school teacher lying in bed in his own house with a student also lying in his bed who's 16 years old.
Yes.
Nothing wrong here. Nothing to see here.
And the conversation they have is clearly like, hey, I'm 16, but I could definitely be like that 21-year-old girlfriend you have.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's testing out the likelihood of banging.
Yes, she totally is. Testing out the likelihood of banging. She likes the fact that Shoop is into surfing because she's into surfing. And apparently, if you're into surfing, that means you're into, statutory rape. And
butt stuff, yeah.
And
surfing
butt stuff
equals butt stuff, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Got to ride that brown wave.
You got to get pitted, so pitted. Yeah.
I got to get pitted.
I think that's a surfing term.
That's a surfing lingo, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a surfer. I live on the East Coast. We don't have surfing here. Unless you go to Erie.
Yeah.
Which
Presque Isle surfing.
Presque Isle, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the during the party, the Shoop's couch catches on fire because you invite a bunch of teenagers to your house. What do you think's going to happen? By the way, in reality, this would totally lead to Shoop being arrested. Like,
oh yeah, it's a bunch of underagers like drinking and partying in his house. Yeah.
You would be totally arrested. In reality, this would not occur.
There's so much in this movie.
There's a lot.
This would be the premise of a Dateline. He invited children to his home. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there have been Datelines that quite literally have started this way. This parent had these many kids at home and said, "Oh, well, if they're drinking here, I can control it." Something along those lines. But that's kind of what Shoop has going on here. And sure enough, his couch catches on fire. Weird things happen with Pam. After that, we get a couple scenes here that just kind of mishmash together of him granting wishes. He helps Denise out with her driving lessons. He finds out what Larry actually is doing at night. Larry's
an
a male
underage stripper. Yeah.
He's an underage stripper who is really into older women. Like, wow, he loves that MILF action.
And he French kissed his aunt.
Yeah.
He didn't know.
No.
Well, he knew.
He knew.
His aunt
He
didn't know.
He knew. So yeah, Larry, what he does in his nights is go to a strip club, and he views himself as in his male prime at 16.
17.
Oh, 17, excuse me. If they made him 16, that'd be too weird.
Yeah. This is a big difference.
He's 1 year away, right? Yeah. He's 1 year away from being legal. And sure enough, Shoop finds him because he thinks he's going to meet women like at the strip club, at the male strip club. Where I'm like, okay. But anyway, that's when he discovers that Larry is a masked stripper. And later in the movie, Larry, of course, tells us that his boss found out because his mom and his aunt were at the strip club and
grabbing his balls.
His mom put $5 in his G-string, which I'm like, there's therapy right there, dude. I mean, yeah, it's a whole lifetime of therapy. And his aunt, yes, French kissed him. Yep, it's that kind of movie, folks.
I mean, if he could see that it was his family members, couldn't he just grind on someone else?
He could have moved away.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, could have moved away. If you knew your family members had, be like, I'm feeling gross. I'm feeling really sick. I think I have to, I'm going to puke, because you are going to puke.
And mom only puts the $5 in his G-string, probably because he put his ass and balls in her face.
Yes. It's fucked up. Nonetheless, it is totally fucked up.
Mom was salivating over that groin.
Oh, gross. So gross. So gross.
I think I recognize those balls.
I changed that asshole for like 3 years. Oh. So, yeah. Larry's found out eventually. And just moving the plot along here a little bit, because I know we're already kind of almost at an hour here. Basically, yeah, we get this whole scene with Courtney Thorne-Smith, who moves in. Did they say the reason why she moves in with Shoop?
Yeah, it's because she was like in the spare room, but then there was like another kid, and she had to go to like the couch, and then there was another kid, and she was kicked off the couch. So basically, I think the family said we're who she was crashing with were like, I don't know if it was her aunt or uncle or something, but they're like, okay, this house is too big for you. Get the fuck out.
But she's 16, though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure mom and dad should be there somewhere. Right?
This is a troubled home, I feel. Yeah.
I guess so. I mean, the dad shows up later, by the way. You see that at the end, like when they're doing the whole scene with the test, and he's reading the test. The dad's there.
Yeah.
He's shaking Shoop's hand and won't be like, Dad, if you knew what Shoop, what was going on.
He's lying in bed with your daughter. She used to live with him. Yeah.
Oh, it was totally innocent.
Yeah. Nothing to see here. No worries.
Yeah. So Pam's staying at Shoop's house, and she totally just goes into I'm gonna bang Shoop mode.
She cooked for him. She cooked
for him.
She made her best dish.
She's cooking for him, and Shoop doesn't think this is a big deal. He really doesn't. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, she's ready to give up the asshole on her back. That requires you to spread eagle, pull your legs back as far as you can, and the guy's got to even spread your butt cheeks, not the traditional bend over butthole, on the back butthole. That's what I'm talking here.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha.
A 16-year-old, everybody. The actress is 24. It's fine.
The actress is 24. She's totally 24. But yeah, she kind of goes, I'd say kind of a little bit, has a little bit of a mental break in this, and is just thinking that she's going to be with Shoop, and because they're staying together. And sure enough, while all this is going on, Kirsty Alley shows up and is like, what's going on here?
Isn't that a kid?
That's a child that's living with you.
You guys having some pasta? What's going on?
You're having pasta and salad? And she even says, Courtney Thorne-Smith says, well, I wish you would have told me if you were going to have company over. I'm like, gross.
It's kind of implying that she would maybe be okay with the three-way. Yeah.
Is that what you took it as?
Yeah. Oh, she's unfazed by this attractive woman who is Shoop's age, just showing up here. She's like, well, I guess I'm going down on Cheers here.
Cheers here. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think it was more you could eat food with us. Yeah. But okay.
By the way, pro tip: if you're going to have Italian, you bang first, because you do not want to be so full of Italian.
Garlic breath.
Oh, yeah, garlic breath, you're burpy, you're farty. That is not prime for sex. You have hungry sex. It's much better. And then you can eat whatever you want.
You know this from experience.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have sex before you eat a big meal. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you ever been bloated and then like, hey, like it's time for sexy time, and I'm like, oh,
it's not fun. Or it's one of those things where like you eat your meal hours beforehand. Like, you gotta have at least, like,
that's
2 hours.
That's a good strategy too.
2 hours. 2 hours before. I mean, that's typically what people, whenever they say they have a date and they're like going out at 7, you're expecting that eventually the coitus is going to happen at around 10, 11 o'clock at night. Because there's enough time there to digest the food.
Yeah.
The coitus, of course. Yeah. Anyway, this gets kind of weird for Shoop, and Shoop eventually sees that this is a bad thing here. It's sad that it took Kirsty Alley to tell you that, Shoop.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of says, hey, this is kind of wrong. You should probably go leave somewhere else, because I'm going to tell you a surfing analogy. Okay. Why don't you just say you're underage and I'm 30-something. This ain't going to work.
Yeah.
Talk to me in, 3 years.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, I just had a 16-year-old move in with me. You'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'd say, do you like prison?
Yeah.
Do you want prison to happen? Because that is what's going to happen. I'd say I wouldn't be as coy as Kirsty Alley was saying, oh, you're going to fuck that girl up. It's like, no. Just say, this is illegal.
Oh, it's the 80s. Like most people who weren't law enforcement were like, banging underage girls, whatever, surf's up, bro, Reaganomics.
Yeah, it gets really weird, and it's not good. So that kind of sours the relationship between Shoop and Pam. And then we cut kind of to in class, and Shoop's trying to get the students to, do things because he did things for them, and they decide they want more things. And this causes Shoop to basically say, you know what, I'm fucking done with this shit, and he quits. Because they want more
all
shit.
is lost moment in screenplay writing.
Yes, all is lost. That is exactly what it is. So Vice Principal Asshole shows up again and tries to get a substitute. And this is, I would say, if you had to think about one scene from this movie that absolutely it epitomizes this film, it is this scene here where
this is the one scene that I remember vividly.
Everyone
when
does.
I was a kid. It freaked me out when I was like 4.
Everyone does. Yeah. Everyone does. So before this scene, Gills calls them all a bunch of psychopaths. Okay? He calls them a bunch of psychopaths, and then it kind of does an 1980s transition, like a little swish pan type thing. And then we get the next day where Gills is showing a substitute teacher to the class. And before they even get to the door, Denise pops out covered in blood. She's like, it's terrible. It's so much gore. And the woman's like, is that your blood, honey? She's like, no, it's terrible. And they open the door, and it quite literally is, I would call it heaven, but I would see some people calling it hell. And the most horrifying thing ever, everyone is literally butchered and covered in blood. You've got Shawnee Smith. I find it funny that she's in this scene because later on she's in Saw, but she's got like an eraser with prosthetics that have pushed her her cheeks out. A lot of vaginas hanging in the corner.
The football kid's guts are hanging out.
Larry's guts are hanging out. He's got his eyeball also hanging out. Yeah. The football kid has a hand that's kind of crawling over and pulling out his tongue.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah, it's so good. Like a severed hand's grabbing his tongue out. And then, of course, out pops our heroes. Chainsaw and Dave screaming with a bunch of chainsaws, saying that they're psychopaths.
Nothing like some pre-Columbine school massacre.
Oh my God, this would not... You could not make this movie nowadays. You just could not. That scene alone you couldn't do it. You just fucking couldn't do it. But I love that scene so much. It's so much practical effects, so much blood, and it's done for laughs. And the substitute teacher's like, I'm fucking done. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I don't blame her. No way. And they say that they want shoot back. That's kind of, they're like, we'll do this literally like every day if you don't bring shoot back. So they agree and they give Shoop his job back, and they decide now they're actually going to start studying and taking it for real. And we get a montage scene because we have to have a montage scene. Montage. Even Rocky had a montage. You gotta fade out to a montage.
A lot of references to next week's episode.
It is. A lot of them. Yeah. So they take the big test, okay? And during this big test, which again, I'm just like, this was never happen in real life.
It reminds me of Bill and Ted, like when they had to do their presentation at the end of the movie to an auditorium full of people. Like, what? Yeah.
No one did that. Yeah. No one did that. No one ever does that. I don't know. Maybe Jeff Franklin, that happened to him because he's the writer of this. But either way, they take the big test. Shawnee Smith goes into labor because that had to happen. Okay, it's called screenwriting. We saw it. Now we have to have it happen.
It'd been amazing if she didn't ever give birth to the whole movie. It's just like a canard. They're just like, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And basically, Kevin decides he's gonna be the good guy and date Shawnee Smith because I guess that's admirable to do that. Like, I'm like, I don't see that as a big deal. If you like her, you like her, whether she had a kid or not. But
he's got a pregnancy fetish.
He does. He does. So after this, we get this whole thing where Gil says that everyone failed. And that he's out of a job.
Majority of them failed. Yeah.
Majority of them failed. And that Gil's is going to tell Kelban, the principal, who's only seen in the first few minutes of the movie, all of his shit, and he's going to be fired. Okay. Yeah. And sure enough, it wouldn't be an 80s movie if we didn't have a big gathering of all of our cast of characters in one room, and the hero is kind of vindicated. And that's exactly what we have.
He taught me to have self-confidence.
Yes.
Even though I failed summer school. Yeah.
To be fair, a good chunk of them still failed.
Yeah, they're going to graduate high school at 20.
Good chunk. I'd say probably about 50 to 60% of them still failed. But the whole point, and I get this, is that they improved, which is something.
Yeah.
Okay. Chainsaw is not the brightest crayon in the box, but he improved from a 6 to a 56. That is something. That really is. Don't
you get 6 points for writing your name?
You do. You do. So that is something. But yeah, they go down the line here, and Shoop's like, listen, man, everyone, I think 4 of them actually did pass. Including Dave. Dave passed. Chainsaw's buddy passed. Shawnee Smith, I think, didn't pass because she was pregnant and going into labor.
She should get a pass for that.
Get a pass, exactly. Ikin passed. Pam even got a B. She got an 82, which I'm good for you. Yeah. And even the bathroom guy who showed up at the end, he got a 92.
I'll tell you, Shoop did not get that B, unfortunately.
No, he did not. He got Kirsty Alley's B.
Although I think actually Pam's probably a C. But anyway.
You're horrible. You are horrible.
She is of age. The actress is of age, okay?
You're horrible. And basically Kelban is that's actual teaching. They improved. Yeah, I'm going to give you tenure. Again, I don't think there's tenure in high school, but okay.
Yeah.
How about I'm not going to fire you.
Yeah, that would work.
That would work. And the movie, of course, ends with Shoop getting the girl, not Pam, Kirsty Alley. Although the DVD, again, would make you think that he gets Pam, but he doesn't. And that's Summer School. Kind of a mess, but it's a good mess. Roger Ebert gave this a half a star.
Oh, well, how do you feel about your hero only giving it half a star?
I think he's a fucking idiot. And he's rotten in hell. Yeah, I was not surprised at all by the fact that Roger Ebert gave this half a star. I think he called it listless, leisurely, and uninspired. Okay.
It's fun. It's one of those
It is fun.
mindless 80s movies, you know?
I'm sorry, Roger, but there is this thing called fun. You do it every once in a while when you go to the movies. I don't know if they have movies in hell. They might. Maybe you're hanging out with Leni Riefenstahl and, a bunch of other Nazi filmmakers. But either way, my point is that sometimes you don't need to have Citizen Kane on. Sometimes you just want to put a fun 1980s comedy on. And that's exactly what Summer School is. It's a fun 1980s comedy. That surprisingly, this, I didn't mention this, but this was one of the first films that Danny Elfman composed.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, granted, I'm used to his that's like Tim
post-Batman.
Burton. Yeah,
That's
Batman. This is more of his Oingo Boingos kind of score here. Yeah,
yeah. This is him in his Oingo Boingo stage. But I think this might have been like his second or third film that he had ever composed, and it was right before Batman. So you've got that. The lead track on this, the one that became kind of famous, is from Tommy Pickles herself, E.G. Daily, Mind Over Matter. I posted the video for
baby's got to do what a baby's got to do.
Yeah, I posted the video for it on Instagram to run up to the show because it's a fun movie. It is a very fun movie. You're not going to have a bad time watching this. It is not as crass and as gross out as some other 1980s teen comedies are. Like, if you watch this in Porky's, you might feel uncomfortable watching Porky's. I don't feel uncomfortable watching Summer School. I mean, aside from the whole, teacher banging the teen thing, that part.
Well, yeah, but there's, underlying things that you're like, this would go today, but there's nothing that's, profane or gross out. Or
literally Porky's, the one character puts his dick in a shower stall and a woman grabs it. So,
and the big, ugly gym teacher grabs his cock.
Yeah. So,
thanks, Bob Clark.
That's a movie that you might feel uncomfortable watching. I don't think anyone feels uncomfortable watching Summer School. It's a fun, nice, I'd say this is a good Sunday afternoon movie. If it's Sunday afternoon, you're bored, nothing to do, pop Summer School on because it's a fun time. And you'll never really be bored with it. I really hope to God that this movie never gets remade. Apparently, Happy Madison signed on to remake it. Yes.
What? He already did. It's Billy Madison. Close enough.
It's pretty close. But yeah, Adam Sandler wants to remake this, which if he does, fuck it.
Why don't you want to study?
Shabba-da-doo-ba-doo. Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. I'm going to go to Hawaii with my super hot girlfriend. Yeah. Let me sing a song. No.
I'm going to sing a little song for you. Yeah.
Summer school's the best.
It's not like the rest.
That's a good one there. Yeah, so that's Summer School. Check it out. We found it online. It was on a couple streaming things. You had to purchase it though. Yeah. So it is one of those things. It's not like on Netflix or anything like that, but it's a good film.
Yeah, that studio got my $2.99.
It's a good all around fun film. You will never have a bad time watching it. And it's also I think it's a really nice look back at the late 80s. It really does give you that.
Which I love, going back to the world from an 80s point of view.
Yes, it's all fun times and red sunglasses and beach life. That's what at least this movie gives you the whole look of that. But it's a fun movie. Check it out, especially if you're in the mood for some 1980s fun, but you don't want necessarily Porky's. Yeah, so that's Summer School. Any final thoughts from you, John?
No, yeah, it's just a fun time, and like we just said a second ago, I love like getting the world view through Ronald Reagan's America, because it's so different from today. It's almost quaint. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Just don't think too much about it, and you'll be fine. Awesome. John, where can they find you at on the Twitter machine?
Oh, man, I got kicked off Twitter because I failed. I got to go to Twitter school. The Unreal J-Wolves. Yeah.
Awesome. You can find me at Brian Coddington, also on the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, or you're currently in summer school and your name is Dean Cameron because you flunked again, and you want to come on the show and talk to us, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com, Chainsaw, and be sure to subscribe to us or follow us wherever you listen to audio, and we will see you next time.
Brian, you're like school in summertime. No class.